Alright, sorry if my video is a little shaky. I'm actually recording with my phone here. I wanted to start off with 52 week 7, Kate Kane's first appearance here. And I wanted to thank Certified Comic Shop. They ended up sending this over with 19 other comics to rebuild my collection. I got more than 2/3 of my collection stolen a few years back and just kind of discouraged me from collecting. Trying to get back into it within the last month and a half or so, and happened to be talking to him, and he felt pretty bad, so he ended up sending me this key issue and 19 others. So again, Certified Comic Shop, thanks a lot. The next one is Francisco Matina, who I just recently found. Like I said, I've been out of comics for a while, and just getting into it, and I just love this artist. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do. I know, watching a few YouTube channels like Comics with Bueller and other ones, he talks a lot about Matina, and I've never followed Deathstroke, but always liked Two-Face from the animated series and stuff, and I just really love this comic, and I just had to have it in my collection. Tony, if it's alright, I'm mentioning other channels and other comic book people that people don't know from the community, so hopefully you're okay with that. Radioactive Man #1, one of the comics that I had from back in the day that wasn't taken. Bart Simpson, Eat Your Heart Out. It does glow in the dark, so I don't think it's worth much, but just being a big Simpsons fan, that comic means a lot. A very funny comic here. Obviously, Superman doesn't want to starve to death, so he's eating all these burgers from wannabe McDonald's here. But growing up, I always loved this issue, and always told myself I wanted to add it. It was only a few bucks. It was a little beaten up when I got it. It has a tear and stuff, but just, there's sometimes some comics out there that you just love because of the cover, no significance, no key, or probably not even a good story. Just wanted to add it to my collection because of the funniness of that cover. Old Man Logan from a few years ago, a buddy gave me one of his copies. I love the movie. I don't know how much people thought about Logan, but I'm glad to have that. One of my original comics that I was lucky to still have, the famous Death of Barry Allen. Obviously that iconic panel where he's just deteriorating into skeleton. Just glad to have that. Obviously with the show blowing up, still doing really well, I believe, on CW. One of my first Spider-Man comics, actually, dealing with drugs. Amazing Spider-Man #1, skating on thin ice. We see the needle there, and then the pills and beer and cigarettes. Just the push that they had in the 90s against drugs and all that alcohol and stuff. So I just love that comic book. Joker being one of my favorite comic book characters, villain or hero. Top 5 for sure. And obviously Batman being my second favorite, right behind Spider-Man. Had to get this. And funny thing, I didn't even notice the penguin right there, so this is really cool. Comic book, if you're not familiar with, Seven to Eternity. Someone recommended it to me, one of the few comics I got within the last few years, just here and there. I really like it. I actually got all the covers, really cool comic, check it out. Next one is Doctor Doom being my favorite villain in the Marvel Universe. Top 10 comic book character in general. Famous issue here where he's fighting the Thing. I just had to show it. Obviously a sub 100 Fantastic Four is always great to have. Some love to Mr. Reynolds here, Deadpool's second appearance, X-Force #2. Going to the Spider-Man family, or Spider-Fam, Miles Morales. Really, really amazing character. Got this comic book, just had to have because I'm a big Spider-Man fan and Miles Morales is blowing up. Fantastic Four #119. Now, if you're not familiar with this comic, the significance, this is when the Black Panther actually calls himself the Black Leopard for the first time. With the they didn't want to associate with the Black Panther group or something. I can't recall, but for a few comic books throughout Marvel, he considered himself the Black Leopard, and this is the first comic book where he calls himself the Black Leopard. So thought it was important. Obviously, great movie, great character. I'm glad the movie did so well, and looking forward to the second one when it comes out. Another amazing cover that I love of Doctor Doom is Secret Wars number 10, and just iconic cover here. Like I said, I'm just getting back into comics, so obviously Spider-Gwen's been out for a few years, and I knew of her, but this is one of the comics I just got at a show this weekend, and the iconic Spider-Man 316, where he's getting choked out by Venom, and then when you turn it, Gwenom is choking out Spider-Gwen, which I thought was a really cool cover. I saw a few different ones out there, and I just really like this one. I'm starting to really like the Spider-Gwen character, and hopefully I can build my collection up. Huge Morbius fan. Not in my top 10, probably top 20 characters. Love this cover. Don't own any Domino comic books, but when I saw this a few weeks back, I just had to have it. Just the detail and the beauty of the scene there is just amazing. Sticking with Morbius, Morbius number 1 here. Hopefully the movie with Leto does really well. And then we have Generation X. The reason why I have this here is because my only comic was Stan Lee on the cover, so I wanted to show that. Back to the Spider family, I have Spider-Woman number 1, which I think she's in the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse cartoon coming out, so I'm really excited about it. Hopefully this comic blows up. I'm really happy about that one. Green Lantern, Ryan, showing you some love, buddy. We were just talking about this the other day and saw your podcast with John's Comics with Kids. You guys did a really good job talking about the new Green Lantern. If you're not a Green Lantern fan, I really like Green Lantern. And the comic book kind of starts off slow, but please be patient. I think that series is going to do really well. Next, just came out last week or the week before, Dead Rabbit. It's already been pulled because of the copyright issue. There's a bar in New York called Dead Rabbit who has copyright to the name as well as the character. So when Image came out with this, obviously there's a lawsuit against it. They pulled 1 and 2. 2 just came out as well. So lucky I was able to get a copy, and you can find it on eBay probably for like $30 now. But I was able to get it for, cover price. Miss Marvel just dropped, so I wanted to show my number 2 here. Cover is amazing, and I can't remember what the significance of it. I haven't read it in a long time, but there's a first appearance of someone in this comic, and I can't recall who it is, so I have that. Sorry, my baby's playing over there. Don't have number 1. Hopefully I get to add it back into my collection. It was one of the ones that was taken. But hopefully I can add it back in before the movie blows up. I think it's going to do really well. Street Fighter, big fan. Just wanted to show that to all my peeps who grew up in the 90s. Street Fighter number 1. Really cool. Really cool Iron Man, Doctor Doom cover here. That's a newsstand one, I believe. And then finally, I have my 25th comic to show you, Tony, is Moon Knight 200. I know there's a couple variants. I just really dig this one, so I wanted to share that one. I'm hoping the show blows up, which I don't think they've announced anything, but I'm sure it's going to blow up and come out, should I say, when Marvel comes out with their streaming service. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed my 25 comics, Tony. Again, use the link below to go check out his channel, and the deadline is December 6th. So thank you.